Hello and welcome to another color with me as I color this image of Mulan and her grandma today. It is number 97 from Disney Mystery Coloring Family, and here are all the colors listed if you're interested in coloring along. If not, grab a cup of tea or something. I chose this image because it gave strong Lunar New Year vibes and Happy New Year to all who celebrate. I really like how Mulan is washing the dishes with her grandma, and it looks like they're gossiping. And Mulan has this beautiful dress on as well. And I heard that this year, because it's the year of the fire horse, that you shouldn't wear too much red for New Year's because it's too much fire, because horse is fire and fire is fire, which I thought was funny. I love this window. It is so beautiful with the snow outside. I think it's one of the best parts of this, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. It just gives a lot of the vibes of this image. And I didn't recognize this from the movie, so I Googled what this could be from, and apparently it's from a Disney princess read along called Mushu's Tale that aired in 2019. So I thought that was interesting that they were pulling images from different sources for this book. But I'm so glad that they did because I love what's going on in this picture. As I was coloring, I found that the browns were very good from the Guangna 240 set, but the gray on the wall was very patchy and I had to go over it a couple times. And then these curtains, the colors were kind of streaky. And I had made a mistake where I colored over one of the sections that's supposed to be the darker color. And so I just kind of free-handed it over because it's very opaque, so you can't see through it, but it still ends up being a bit patchy, and I had to go over it several times to get to the flatness that I'd like. But some of the really dark colors, like the browns and then the blues in Grandma's dress, were so beautiful. And the sky outside as well, that paint color turned out really great. So I think I'm probably going to have a review of the pens I have in a little bit. I just wanted to make sure that I did a good job of testing them out and having a very strong opinion before getting to that. So look forward to that at some point. And for this image, there's so many browns in the color key. And I tried to make sure that each brown was unique because I didn't want to accidentally have, the areas kind of be beside each other and have the same color by mistake. Um, and so it was really hard to find so many different hues of brown. And I found that my pen collection, the orange and yellow tones were very lacking. So I couldn't actually get the tones that were being asked for in the key. So, like, the tray is not quite the color that I'd like it to be. And the sponge also kind of turned out kind of funky. I was trying to use the Languo pens for the sponge because later it gets used for details in Mulan's dress. And I couldn't imagine trying to do all those details with the brush nib. So I decided to choose the gel pens instead for that. I also am not happy with how the gel pen outlining in the table section turned out because the lines are kind of wiggly. I use a gel pen because in my head, using a gel pen means I'll have finer control and be able to make straighter lines. But in reality, because it's first a 1 millimeter gel pen, so it's a bit thicker already, and then the ball bearing on the tip gets kind of stuck and it likes to go on certain grooves. So it was actually really hard to make straight lines that were thin using the gel pen. And I later end up going over the black lines in the Guangna brush pen instead. And here I chose a color for Grandma's face. and I found that the colors that's supposed to be the lighter color ended up drying darker than the color that was supposed to be for the shadow parts of her face. And I really didn't like how it looked. So I end up choosing a different color and going over it here. And I like this so much better, and it makes so much more sense that the light parts are lighter than the shadow parts of her face. And I'm so glad that I made the decision to do that, because sometimes with these coloring books, I just trust the process, and like even if I'm unsure, I just roll with it. But the face colors just seem so off to me. So I'm so glad I redid that. And the colors in the chart in the beginning are the ones that I end up ultimately going with. And here, as I'm outlining grandma, I make sure to use a brush pen, learning from my earlier mistake to make the lines more straight. And honestly, on camera, I don't think you could even notice, but I can tell when I'm looking at the completed coloring that the lines are just so wiggly on the table versus grandma. I love the way that grandma turns out here. Um, and the colors of her dress were just so beautiful to work with. I just love those markers. I wish there were more. I should probably just look for and choose more pictures with these deep blues that are just so gorgeous. And for Mulan, I wasn't sure whether I'd have the same problem with the skin tones, and this is where I decided to just kind of trust the process. Because when I colored that first lighter tone, it felt neon, and I'm just rolling with it and hoping that it turns out okay in the end. And this part, it was so hard to try to color between all the different stamps on her dress. So I kind of drew circles around each of those and decided to kind of tackle each one as like a pattern. And that's what I'm doing here, so that I'm careful to preserve the pattern on her dress. And it turned out so nice. When I'm looking at it, I feel like it just adds so much dimension to her dress and really brings out more details than most of the other color by numbers in this book. When I start going over each of these stamps with this orange is where I decided there was no more return on changing this orange out for a different color. And I think it turned out okay in the end. At this point, it still looks very neon, but once the black is in, it just kind of blends and your eyes kind of like remove the neonness of it. I don't understand how it works. I'm not very good at color theory, or I'm not very good at art, but like somehow without the black, like she looks neon, and then as soon as the black is in, it's like, oh yeah, of course that's a face, of course that's an arm, of course that's her skin tone. It just kind of works. um it's magic. Here's the final product. Happy New Year, happy Lunar New Year to all that who celebrate, and thank you for watching until the very end. Please like and subscribe if you're interested, and have a great day. Thank you. Bye.